la fuga de los reos secuestradores, hubo una fuga masiva de reos, todos sabemos. Debido a en esa fuga masiva se fugan 2 reos de los secuestradores de mi hija. Uno fue recapturado, pero uno aún sigue libre. A raíz de eso, yo también pedí seguridad en lo que este reo fuera recapturado, que hasta fecha no ha sucedido.
Miriam Rodríguez was a Mexican activist known for her relentless fight against organized crime after her daughter was kidnapped and murdered by members of a cartel. Her story is one of immense bravery, as she single-handedly tracked down and helped capture nearly all of her daughter's killers before being assassinated in 2017. Miriam Elizabeth Rodríguez Martinez was born in Mexico and lived in the state of Tamaulipas, one of the regions most affected by cartel violence. She became an activist after her 20-year-old daughter, Karen Alejandra Salinas Rodríguez, was kidnapped in 2012 by members of the Los Zetas cartel. The criminals initially demanded a ransom, which the family paid, but Karen was never returned. Later, Miriam discovered that her daughter had been murdered. Between 2007 and 2012, Mexico experienced an inclining surge of violent occurrences that led to a 3 times increase in the number of murders during this time. More than 60,000 lives were lost to violence, and countless civilians were either reported missing or forced to abandon their homes in fear of danger. The surge was encouraged by a significant increase in drug trafficking and the changes in government propositions to combat drug trafficking organizations. The Tijuana cartel traditionally ran the drugs business in the city, but the Sinaloa cartel has moved into their turf and taken away some of the business. It means now that the city is in the center of a major and bloody turf war, making it one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Turf wars are conflicts or battles that occur between rival groups or organizations over control of a territory. Crime organizations, street gangs and cartels, fiber dominance over specific areas to exert influence, power, and control. These turf wars can lead to violent outcomes, mass casualties, and an increase in crime rates. The former notorious Mexican drug lord and leader of the Beltran Libia cartel, Edgar Valdez Villarreal, was also known to engage in rivalry wars with the Los Zetas. It was reported that the Zetas kidnapped and killed Valdez's brother as an act of revenge. As a result, Edgar Valdez Villarreal captured 4 members of Los Zetas and shot on camera. The video was later acquired by Dallas Morning News and against rival gang members' murder.
It's rival gang members' murder. Police say you can hear LaBarbie's voice interrogating these men just before they're arrested.
So as you can see, these cartels and gang members aren't hesitant to abduct or even kill someone to get what they want. The issue of turf wars and gang violence has prevailed over the country of Mexico for years, and communities have been affected by the ongoing brutality. They pose significant threats to people's safety and security, and they also disrupt the efforts of law enforcement agencies tasked with countering organized crime and gang-related violence. Karen Rodríguez is one of many victims of this savagery. Through the cloud of tragedy loomed over the Rodríguez family, Miriam was determined to get her back. Despite the anger, Miriam's 20-year-old daughter, Karen Alejandra Salinas Rodríguez, decided to stay in the city to finish her education and assist her mom with her business. Everything was as great as it could be. Unfortunately, tragedy hit the Rodríguez family in 2012. Miriam's daughter, Karen, was abducted by the infamous Los Zetas cartel. Miriam and her family searched tirelessly for her daughter. The Zetas demanded the family pay a heavy ransom in exchange for their daughter's life. In 2012, a 20-year-old Karen Rodríguez was driving her truck through a rural area when 2 trucks encircled her. 2 men came at her with guns, dragging her from the car and into theirs. Later, the 2 men took her to the Rodríguez family home and tied her up. After the kidnapping took place, Karen's family started receiving threats and ransom demands. Miriam and her family had no choice but to take out a loan from the bank to pay their daughter's ransom. Yes, a loan. Apparently, there have been so many kidnapping for ransom incidents in the city of San Fernando that the bank started issuing ransom loans. Miriam and her husband almost had no trouble receiving one. They were willing to pay as long as their daughter was safe. Miriam and her husband were told to drop the ransom money off at a local medical facility. They were directed to wait at a nearby cemetery for further instructions, but the couple was not contacted. Miriam refused to give up. She asked to meet with the gang members and they agreed. The meeting took place at a local restaurant, where Miriam met with a man who tried to demand more money from her without telling her the whereabouts of her daughter. Miriam couldn't get any information from this person. However, he was said to be wearing a cheap plastic radio on his belt. Miriam repeatedly heard a constant voice coming from the radio and believed his name to be Sama. The man Sama stated that he didn't have Karen, but they could help Miriam locate her daughter for a fee. The challenges Miriam faced to locate her daughter's whereabouts became even more daunting. Desperately, Miriam agreed to pay the gang $2,000, but they still wouldn't answer her calls. Finally, when they did return the calls, the kid asked for an extra $500. The family continued to wait, but Karen never returned. At this point, Miriam knew that Karen would not be returning. The heartbroken mother swore to keep searching until she tracked down every one of her daughter's kidnappers. Instead of giving up, Miriam Rodríguez embarked on a personal mission for justice. Determined to avenge her daughter's death, Miriam began investigating the people responsible. And there she found out that Los Zetas cartel is behind her daughter's kidnap and murder. After paying the ransom and realizing her daughter wasn't coming back, Miriam took it upon herself to investigate. She spoke to locals, researched social media, and even tricked people into revealing information. She started with the names of the kidnappers that she got from intercepted calls and rumors in her town. She followed social media activity of cartel members, watching for clues about their whereabouts. She visited places where cartel members were rumored to live, looking for patterns in their movements. She built a network of informants, speaking to people who were too afraid to report cartel activity. Miriam knew she couldn't openly investigate cartel members without being targeted. She posed as a government official, health worker, and street vendor to blend in using fake IDs and costumes. She changed her appearance frequently by changing wig and clothes changes to avoid being recognized. She followed the relatives of cartel members, knowing that criminals eventually visit family. In one case, she dressed as a pollster and knocked on the mother's door of one of the criminals, pretending to conduct a survey. The mother revealed the location of her son without realizing who Miriam was. Her first big breakthrough came when she found one of the men who had been involved in Karen's kidnapping. She discovered he had a fake identity and was working as a vendor in another town. Instead of confronting him, she gathered enough evidence and personally led police to arrest him. His capture provided more names, which gave her a hit list to work through. One by one, Miriam tracked down more members of the gang. She followed their families. Many criminals had fled, but they still contacted their relatives. She used social media. She catfished cartel members by pretending to be a different person, tricking them into revealing locations. She memorized tattoos and habits. One member was identified because she remembered his distinct tattoo from an old Facebook picture. In one case, she found a cartel member working at a local clothing store under a different name. She stalked him for weeks before tipping off the police. Her biggest moment came when she tracked down the cartel leader responsible for Karen's murder. He had been hiding in Veracruz, and Miriam followed his girlfriend on social media, discovered he had changed his name and was working at a regular job, waited outside his workplace for days until she confirmed his identity. She once again tipped off the police, and they arrested him. By 2017, Miriam had helped capture nearly all of Karen's killers. However, she had made many enemies in the process. Some cartel members had escaped from prison, and they knew Miriam had been the one to take them down. Miriam requested government protection, but it was weak and ineffective. Despite multiple threats, she refused to stop her pursuit. However, on May 10, 2017, Mother's Day in Mexico, gunmen broke into her home in San Fernando, Tamaulipas, and shot her 12 times. She was rushed to a hospital, but died from her injuries. Her assassination was widely condemned, highlighting the impunity and lawlessness that plague Mexico due to cartel violence. Miriam Rodríguez became a symbol of resistance against organized crime. After her death, the Collective of Disappeared Persons of San Fernando, a group she founded to help families find missing loved ones, continued her work. Her story inspired many human rights movements and was widely covered in the media. She is remembered as one of Mexico's bravest anti-cartel activists. Her sacrifice shed light on the violence faced by families of the disappeared and the lack of government action in stopping cartel crimes.